What does Tiffany have of yours, and what does Tiffany have of Marla's?
Well, I think that she's got a lot of Marla. She's really a beautiful baby, and she's got Marla's legs. We don't know whether or not she's got this part yet, but time will tell.
Working for Diddy for 6 years trained me to have to be perfect.
Working for Diddy?
Absolutely.
I love Diddy. You know, he's a good friend of mine. He's a good guy. Is he a good guy?
I don't want to answer that question.
Oh, wow. I think he's a good guy. I'm going to stick up for him.
You talked earlier about, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist. So if you were president, would you declassify, you can answer yes or no to these. Yeah. Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah. I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you know, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would, or at least
Do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others.
You guys, so we play this game here. It's called Fave 5. I'll ask the question. Ivanka, you answer first, and then Dad, you answer also.
This is tough.
Okay, Ivanka, what's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that. Disappointing. Not really. But it would depend on what was inside the magazine. I don't think Ivanka would do that inside the magazine, although she does have a very nice figure. I've said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know?
So you have done that. Now,
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, you know, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. You know, I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
like
everything is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? You know, they stand there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women, and so I sort of get away with things.
Talking about 14 and 15-year-old girls. That's
By the way, tell us why you bought the pageant without telling us why you bought the pageant. Okay?
Bill Clinton was a great president. Hillary Clinton is a great woman and a good woman. And Hillary Clinton is a great woman and a good woman.
This interview on my free will. No, there was nothing promised to me for doing this interview.
Excellent.
Yes, everything that I say at this interview will be the truth. I met Donald Trump at some parties I attend that I was working for Mr. Jeffrey Epstein. There was about 3 or 4 times that I had encounters with Donald Trump. I was 13. The first time that I met Donald Trump was at a party at Jeffrey Epstein's mansion. There was an orgy going on, and he was kind of watching off in the distance, and he basically asked if I could come over and give him a hand job. And at first, I wasn't very comfortable with it. This was like my first party, and I didn't think that was my responsibility. But my recruiter told me that I needed to do it, so I agreed to. And then he, I began to. Sorry, this is a little difficult, but. Before I gave him a hand job, he kind of slapped my hand away and said, you need to use a glove. And the recruiter ran over and handed me a glove and said, no one touches Mr. Trump's penis without a glove. So I needed to use a glove. I gave him a hand job, and then immediately after, he had an orgasm, he left, and I didn't see him again at that party. Jeffrey Epstein is a billionaire friend of Donald Trump's that was responsible for throwing the sex parties. I originally came to New York trying to be a model, and in my travels I met a girl named Tiffany there who was very interested in me and said that she that's what she did, is that she helped girls, you know, get what they wanted, and she could help me get into modeling. That she knew a lot of people that were higher ups, and that it would be no problem. And so that's why, you know, but I would just basically have to come model at a couple of events and meet some people. There would be no sweat. So of course I went. You know, that sounded like no big deal. And she was recruiting the girls to come to these parties. And they all looked, I mean, most of them were, you know, my age. There was, you know, maybe a couple girls that were maybe 14 or 15, but it seemed to me like we were all very young, so.
Okay.
Jeffrey Epstein knew that I was 13 years old. When he interviewed me, he asked me to get down to my bra, just my panties, and I thought that was weird, but I mean, modeling, maybe it was something about my figure. And he asked that I give him a massage. So and then he asked me my age. He asked me, and I told him, you know, told him that I was 13. I told him why I was there. And he basically said, well, you'll do, you know, I'm sure that you'll fit pretty nicely here. And then he tried to basically slip himself inside of me, and I pushed him away, and I said, you know, because at that point in time I still believed that there was models, and then there was the girls that did that. Like, I thought there was a separation. So you know, I told him that I wasn't interested in that, but he said that I would do. And as far as Donald Trump, he knew that I was 13, and I believe that Tiffany told him he seemed to take a liking to me because I was I was so young, and I was also a virgin. So I don't know. It seemed like he wasn't really into having girls that were liked by the other guys. He kind of, you know, the whole glove. He kind of liked things to be his first. You know, if that, for lack of, you know, a better term, but he was the one who wanted to get to a girl before everyone else did. Donald Trump knew that I was 13 because the first night that I was there, Tiffany actually suggested that, you know, she had a whole bunch of different wigs, and I expressed interest in them. You know, I always told her that I would love to walk around with blue hair, and so I tried some on, and there was a blonde wig that she said that looked great on me. So I wore that wig, and Donald Trump had specifically asked about me because I remind him of his daughter, and she said, well, she's 13 as well. So he knew the first time that he saw me, but he took a liking to me because I look like his daughter. And the reason I'm coming out now is when it happened originally, I just wanted to forget about the whole incident. And when I saw that he was running for president, I felt that it was my responsibility to come out and tell our country what kind of man this person is. I don't think that he should even be the dog catcher, let alone running the greatest country in the world. After I met Tiffany at the bus station, she took me to, basically went to her house, her apartment, and got ready. I put on a blonde wig because it seemed fun to pretend to be someone different, but we went to the party that I was basically interviewing for, and Jeffrey Epstein was the one that was running the party. He had a quick meeting with everyone that was employed there, and then he had a private interview with me. The first time that I met Jeffrey Epstein, he did try to force himself inside of me without getting the go-ahead or anything, and then it was probably about the third or fourth party is when he basically forced, it was another massage, and it was basically like, it wasn't sex, but there was penetration, and I told him that I didn't want that, but he kind of got a little irritated. So I don't know, there was something about him that I guess I kind of held him, like I held a lot of resentment towards him. By that time that happened, I kind of already started catching on that maybe I wasn't there for modeling and maybe I was just getting used for things, and I felt that kind of held